Yo, what's going on guys, Sensus here, and today we're going to be doing an Outlaw Rogue PvP guide for the Legion pre-patch. Now, like I said in my Subtlety and Assassination Rogue pre-patch guides, I plan on making updated guides for each spec once Legion actually comes out, but this is just something to help you guys get started and just get an idea of some of the changes going on with the spec itself. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, before we get into spell changes, just going to start off by stating the obvious that they renamed combat spec to Outlaw. Okay, so getting into spell changes, Between the Eyes replaced Kidney Shot. It costs 35 energy and has a 20 yard range and a 20-second cooldown, and it can be used between 1 and 5 combo points, and it works pretty similarly to Kidney Shot in the sense that it does stun your target. Now, the drawback here is that it only stuns your target for 5 seconds at 5 combo points, but the bonus here is that it has a 20 yard range and it actually deals damage to your target. Also, it's worth mentioning, if it crits, it'll deal 4 times normal damage. Next up, as I mentioned in my Assassination and Subtlety Rogue pre-patch guides, we have Crimson Vial, which replaced Recuperate. It costs 30 energy and has a 30-second cooldown, and it'll heal you for 30% of your maximum health over 6 seconds. Next, we have Gouge, and it's worth mentioning that Outlaw is the only spec that still has it. It'll cost 25 energy if you're not spec'd in the Dirty Tricks, and it has a 10-second cooldown. Now, it works the same as it did back in WoD. It'll incapacitate your target for 4 seconds, but it'll also now award you 1 combo point. Next, we have Pistol Shot. It costs 40 energy and has a 20 yard range. It deals physical damage and slows your target's movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds when used, and it also awards 1 combo point. Now, Pistol Shot's actually your second main combo point builder alongside Saber Slash, which we'll get to in just a moment. Next up, we have a new defensive cooldown called Repost. It replaced Evasion and has a 2-minute cooldown and grants a 100% chance to parry for 10 seconds, and anyone that tries to deal melee damage from the front while you have this up will take physical damage. Next, we have Roll the Bones. It replaces Slice and Dice if you don't spec into it. It costs 25 energy and can be used between 1 and 5 combo points. It will grant you combat buffs completely randomly. It's not based on how many combo points you use Roll the Bones at or any other factors. It's completely random, which in my opinion is a ridiculous way to do it. But before I go off on a rant, let's just get right into what these buffs actually do. Starting off with Broadside, it causes your attacks to generate an additional combo point. True Bearing causes your finishers to reduce the remaining cooldown on most of your abilities by 2 seconds per combo point spent. Grand Melee increases your attack speed by 50% and increases your leech by 25%. Now, what leech means is it'll convert 25% of the damage you do while Grand Melee is up to health. Jolly Roger causes your Saber Slash to have an additional 25% chance of striking an additional time. Shark Infested Waters increases your crit chance by 25%. Now, this is the buff that you want to have up before you burst to get the most out of it. And lastly, we have Buried Treasure, which increases your energy regeneration by 25%. Now, like I said, you get these buffs completely randomly, not depending on how many combo points you spend. So there can be times where you only get 1 buff, and there can be times where you get all 6 buffs, but that's extremely rare. Typically, what I try to do with Roll the Bones is I try to get 2 decent buffs that I could use at the time. So say I need a particular cooldown to reset quickly, I'd be looking for both Broadside and True Bearing. It's really not good to continuously roll the bones. You want to just look for buffs you need at the time and roll with that for as long as you can. And with that, let's move right back into spell changes. Next up, we have Run Through, which replaced Eviscerate. It costs 35 energy, a 5 yard range, and can be used between 1 and 5 combo points. It works pretty much the same way as Eviscerate, except for the added bonus that it has a 5 yard range. Outside of that, it's just a damaging finisher. Next, we have Saber Slash, which replaced Sinister Strike. It costs 50 energy and has a 35% chance of striking an additional time, which will award you an additional combo point. And it will also proc your Pistol Shot to make the next one have no energy cost. And finally, I think the last spell change worth noting that I didn't discuss in my Assassination or Subtlety Rogue pre-patch guides is that Stealth only has a 2-second cooldown now. And this applies to all 3 specs. And with that, let's move on to talents. Okay, so the basic cookie cutter setup that I use is Ghostly Strike, Grappling Hook, Vigor, Elusiveness, Dirty Tricks, Killing Spree, and Mark for Death. Now let's take some time and talk about this setup. Starting off with Ghostly Strike. Now I like to view this as a new revealing strike. You want to keep this up on your target at all times. It increases all your damage done by 10% for 15 seconds. Now 10% may not seem like much at first, but that damage definitely adds up over time, and that applies even more so at level 110 if you combine this with the PvP talents Plunder Armor and Thick as Thieves. Next up, we have Grappling Hook, and this is pretty much your gap closer. It has a 40 yard range and a 30-second cooldown. It works a lot like a Warrior's Heroic Leap. Now the biggest downside to Outlaw spec is that it lacks gap closers. There's really not much to get you to and from a target. So I think Grappling Hook is just too good to pass up, which is why I definitely recommend speccing into it. Next up we have Vigor. Now we already talked about this in both my Assassination and Subtlety Rogue guides, and all it does is increase your maximum energy by 50 and increases your energy regen by 10%. Next up again we have Elusiveness, and like I mentioned in my Assassination Rogue pre-patch guide, it still does the exact same thing as it did back in WoD. It makes it so your feint ability reduces all damage taken by 30%. Now some of you might be wondering why I'm not specced into Iron Stomach here, and that's because Iron Stomach's tooltip is a little bit misleading. It says that it'll increase your Crimson Vial's heal by 30%, but in reality it only increases it by 12%. Now I don't know if this is intended and this is just a tooltip error, or if Crimson Vial healing potions and Hellstones are actually supposed to heal you for 30% more than what they originally do. But either way, I'd still pick up Elusiveness over Iron Stomach because I feel that that damage reduction that you get with feint is just too good to pass up. Next up we have Dirty Tricks, and it causes your Gouge, Blind, Cheap Shot, and Sap to have no energy cost. Now the main reason why I picked this up over Prey on the Weak is because Between the Eyes is not affected by the damage increase that you get from Prey on the Weak. It's only really Cheap Shot. And also I feel the control potential with having all those CC abilities on a 0 energy cost is just too good to pass up. Next up we have Killing Spree. It has a 10-yard range and a 2-minute cooldown. Now one thing worth noting that I think is pretty obvious at this point, there's no more insight, there's no more shallow insight, moderate insight, or deeper insight. So you're not going to be paying attention to whether or not you have red buff. It's more so if you have shark infested waters or not. Now 2 things to note about Killing Spree. It teleports you back to your original location after you use it, and it can be CC'd. Now I'm hoping they're going to change this because it doesn't really make any sense that it teleports you back to your original location to begin with. And also Demon Hunters have 2 abilities that make them immune to any form of CC. And the fact that Killing Spree isn't as crazy as it was back in WoD, there's no reason why it should be CCable. So I'm hoping that's how it's going to be when Legion actually comes out. But as it sits, that's how Killing Spree works. And it doesn't really make much sense to me, but you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments. But overall, I feel Killing Spree is the superior choice over Cannonball Barrage. But I do feel that Cannonball Barrage could be pretty decent in Battlegrounds. And lastly, again, we have Mark for Death. It has a 30-yard range and a 1-minute cooldown. It marks your target, instantly generates 5 combo points, and if that target dies, the cooldown resets. Now before we move on to openers and rotations, one thing to keep in mind about Outlaw is that your opener is going to vary slightly depending on what buffs you get. But I'm going to show you guys a couple basic openers and just stuff to go off of to get you started. So let's go ahead and check that out. Well guys, that pretty much does it for this video. If this video helped you out, please be sure to throw it a like and a comment. I'd really appreciate it. I spent a lot of time on this guide to try to be as detailed as possible. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I'd be happy to answer them. And of course, as always, thanks for watching guys. I'll see you next time.